guys, it's Dorothy here with another live video. This week we're going to be talking to Josh as we go through a roast. He's going to talk us through a few of the things that really make the coffee that you know and love. So I'm just going to turn it over to him now. Here we are. It is loud, so if you do have any questions for us to repeat stuff, we can speak up, but we can't turn down the roaster, so we'll just try and reiterate things if we need to, or like shout at you, but just let us know in the comments and enjoy. Here we go.
Hello. So we're going to try to do our best to get a little roasting to it. It's going to start, it's going to be 2 parts. We'll do another part next week. So we're just going to do a brief overview of the roasting process and green coffee beans. Now you see over here on the branch our big batch that we're roasting on right now, our big roaster. It's a 50-pound capacity. This is our small initial roaster. It does about 20 pounds of coffee max, but we can do little samples in there, so we use it for that. So we'll start with green beans. People call them green beans or greens. Two major types. I'm sure you've heard of Arabica and Robusta. Robusta can grow at lots of different elevations in lots of different climates and has about twice the caffeine, and that doesn't produce the quality coffee. Arabica is the beans that produce the quality coffee. It needs high elevations to grow, which means cooler temperatures in all these coffee producing countries that are very hot, and so that elevation allows for a slower growing season that develops bigger and more dense beans with better flavor, and the Arabica typically has better flavors. So obviously we roast 100% Arabica coffee, and that's where we start with there. Within Arabica, you have a few other variations. Obviously, everyone might not know. The coffee beans, there's 2 of them in a cherry. A coffee is a cherry, is a fruit, and there's 2 beans in there. Almost all the time, when there's not, there's only one, and that produces what's called a pea berry. We can show you here. This is some Arabica beans. They have a flat side, which means there was 2 of the beans in the cherry. This one here is a pea berry, and they have no flat side. They're all round, meaning there was only one in the cherry. So with those cherries, we obviously have to get those cherries off the beans to turn them into the coffee we like to drink. So that's called the process. So there's 2 main kinds of processes: washed and natural. Washed means they wash those cherries off right away when everything is still moist. And the natural is they dry the cherries and then pulp the cherries off of the bean while it's dried out. And they do variations within there. Those are the 2 main ones. Again, we have examples here. This is a washed coffee, so it looks a lot more uniform in color. This is a natural process because they're left to dry in the cherry. They take on different colors. Some beans are lighter, some are darker. It's a little different. In next week's episode, we'll talk about what that could do for coffee flavor and roasting. The other main thing with the Arabica beans, I talked about the high elevations. All these Arabica coffees grow in roughly 1,000 to 2,000 meters. So 1,300 to as much as, 3,500 up to 55, 56 plus thousand feet in elevation. So like I said, a lot of coffee producing countries are really warm, so they need those high elevations, get the cool temperatures to grow the beans slow and give them their flavor. I'm just going to check on this roast process. And we're going to try and time it so you guys can see that come out. So the other main thing with the roasting is the phases that the coffee takes to roast. So that's what we're trying to manipulate and control to our favor for flavor. The first phase, the coffee's got to dry out. So that's basically what it's doing. It goes in the roaster. The roaster temperature plummets and then slowly climbs to the rest of the roast. The original part's got to dry that coffee out. It looks the same through that whole process, and when it finally gets through drying out, it's going to start its roasting process, and the chemical reactions, which are known as the Maillard reaction, which is the same thing as why meat browns. So the beans will get very pale and then start turning yellow, and that's the start of the chemical reactions. The main chemical stuff, the sugars are browning, and the coffee starts roasting. From there, that phase goes to the last phase where the first crack starts. Coffee cracks twice. It's the gases that build up and escape and crack, and it's very loud. It happens. So once you get the first crack, from then on, you're into that third phase, which we kind of call the flavor development phase, because that's where you are going to decide what flavors you want, because how long you roast it will affect it, and the pace. So those are the few things we really pay a lot of attention to in the roasting, and make sure those stay consistent and at the pace that we like to allow the reactions and the development of the coffee and the flavors to happen, so that we all like what we get in our cup. I'm just going to check this. So we're very close here. The guys did an awesome job getting this roast done. It's going to be out here. This is a medium roast coffee that we're doing right now, and it's going to be out here right away. So that the phases like talked about, we can control those with heat and airflow are the two main things we use to control those. And it's important that we do that in a way that we roast 50 pounds or we're roasting 25 pounds. We adjust our heat and airflow so that the stages happen in the same pace and the same amount of roast. That'll give us consistent flavor attached to that and to all our reactions. So we're gonna finish this off. As you can see, we dropped it into that tray. It has holes in it. There's a lot of noise here you can hear. That's to cool it down immediately as soon as it's done roasting. Because we take all that time to make sure we're doing it the way we want. And if we don't cool it down right away, we'll keep roasting and it'll go past the intended level. So that's our, we call our cooling tray. All that noise is our blowers that are pulling air through it to cool it past, move it, cool it, so that it stops roasting right away and stays at that flavor level that we were shooting for. So that's kind of the main thing we want to talk about today, is those general stages the coffee goes through. Green beans in general, how we maintain consistency and watch those stages carefully. And our goal in the next week is to let you know how the stuff we talk about, creating different types of processes of green beans and how we control our airflow, our heat, light roast versus dark roast, and how all that can affect our flavors that we get in the cup. So you'll join us for that.